Frickin' freezing in here, Mr. Bigglesworth.
Things you can do to shake the winter blues. This time of year, I think for everybody is difficult. The days get shorter, the temperature gets colder. Just all of it. It tends to be a little depressing, honestly, and if you allow it to, it'll bring you down year after year, and ruin a good 4 months out of your year and out of your life each year. So, I think it's good to try and come up with things this time of year that you can do to stay busy and to stay active and to try and get your mind off of that and onto more positive things so that you don't end up falling into a depressed state, over the holidays. I mean, I know a lot of people struggle with the cold weather, my wife being one of them. She absolutely hates, and I mean hates, cold weather. um, we've often talked about moving, you know, down south more, just because of the winters up here, where we're at. And um, I don't mind it so much, but only because of hunting season. I mean, once once that's over, I don't really have any more need for this time of year. Other than one of the things that I do that I'm going to explain here to you, as something that you could do as a hobby to help. Um, but yeah, she hates it. I mean, with a passion, and it's just every year, we go through this. I make fun of her because it's like she's ready to turn the heat on when the temperature is, 60 degrees. But in the summer, she wants the air conditioners on when the temperature is, 80 degrees, and she tries to get it to 60 degrees with an air conditioner. And so, we have our little scuffle each year about that, just all in fun. But I'm sure you can relate. But anyway, I want to talk about a few things that you can do this time of year to try and help with dealing with the winter blues. And you know, the other part of it is people tend to gain weight, and some of that has to do with the holiday season. Everybody puts on a few extra pounds over the holiday, but with that coupled with just winter in general and people not being as active, and not participating in near as much activity as maybe they had, when the weather was a little different. It tends to affect people's health in that way. And I think that we all know that, the body and mind and spirit are all linked intimately, and when one of them starts to go, they all start to go. And so if over the winter season, you begin to put on weight and you're not as active, and you begin to feel sluggish, and all of this will then, on the mental side, then it's very easy for these negative feelings to come in, like depression and anxiety and just discouragement, and just all of the negative feelings that can come along with how your body feels when it's not in tune. And I think this happens to a lot of people, over the winter months. And then, when your body is lagging and your mind is suffering, well, then your spirit also tends to get drugged down. And I think personally that if we can really try and strengthen the spirit aspect, then it can help lift up the mental and the physical aspects, especially this time of year. So, over the winter months, a good thing to try and do is to read more, to read more books, and just to read the scriptures more. You know, use this time over the winter months, when you can't be outside and as active as you would like to be. Use this time to grow in knowledge. Use this time to exercise your mental muscles. Because there is something unique about curling up next to a fire with a book and reading, and there's something cozy about that. And so that's something that you could do. Writing a journal, I think, is something good to practice all year long, but especially over these winter months, you can focus more on it because people tend to have more time on their hands. And so you could really get into journaling more, which helps overall. I mean, just to record, how you're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and to document that, uh, you know, that's something that you can always refer to and look back on, um, to help your own progression, in your own journey with whatever it is that you may be trying to do or achieve. And so, that's something that you could focus more on, when you're stuck in the house. But this is always also a great opportunity, in my opinion, to challenge ourselves and to explore new things mentally. And what I'm getting at is, if you are one of these people that just absolutely hates the cold and you don't like being out in the cold, and the cold brings you down and it has this negative effect on you, well, then something that you could do is to face that head on and to do like a cold water plunge, or just go out and stand barefoot in the grass if there is any. Clean out a spot if there's snow, and get your feet grounded to the earth and stand in the grass and just sit there in the cold and take in that cold air into your lungs, and just I guess just embrace that which you don't like. And there's something very rewarding, and I think powerful, and paradigm shifting in doing things like that, that can really help you grow, all around. And so, it's a good opportunity, I think, this time of year, that if you are one of those people, to face these things head on like this, and to go at it swinging. You know what I mean? Like spend time out there, go for a walk, even though you're freezing your ass off, just do it anyway. And do it just for that reason. And so you can really become mentally tough over winter season if you are doing things like this, because now you're challenging yourself and you are putting yourself in difficult situations. And I believe that it's in those things, and overcoming those things, where true growth happens. And so, you could do things such as that. And then, as far as hobbies, like I mentioned, I hunt. And so I don't mind the cold so much. I mean, I'm a hunter. I'm grew up in the mountains. It doesn't bother me that much. But what bothers me is like the shorter days and just not being able to do as much stuff outside and just don't feel as productive. But hunting season, I absolutely love hunting. I mean, I look forward to it every year. And then something that I do after hunting season is shed hunting. And I know it's become much more popular in the recent years here. And so that's something that you could explore if you're someone who enjoys nature and wildlife, or you're a hunter, to go out and go for a walk out in nature in the woods, and to get on some deer tracks, and look around for sheds is a very, I mean, I, it's like an Easter egg hunt as a kid, or a treasure hunt. And, you know, even if you don't find anything, it's keeping you active and you're still getting, you know, a lot of steps in on the days that you do that. And it gets you outside and, still get you the exercise that your body needs this time of year, you know? And so I find that to be an absolute gift to be able to go out and look around for sheds out in the woods. I mean, I love it. I love it. I do it every year. Now, this past year with my back injury, I haven't been able to do it like I had in years past, but I still tried to go in easier places like up on tops and whatnot, just the easier places to get into. You know, I still try to do a little bit of it here when I can. But that's something that you can do as a hobby that, I mean, I have a passion for it. I almost love it just as much as I do hunting. And so, you know, that is what helps me get through that second half of the winter, you know, when nothing else is going on and when it's typically brutally cold where we're at here. You know, we start shed hunting mid to late January and that continues through till usually I'm doing it right up until like April, like fishing season. Once that kicks in, it's pretty much over. But I'll do it right up until then, you know. And or typically around that time is when the weather begins to break. So it kind of helps take you to that transition point where now you're coming out of the winter, and you know it helps you to maintain a certain level of activity through the winter. And so personally, I think that's something great you can do. But there's also other things, you know, if you just are not somebody that wants to be outside, you know, get a membership to the Y. You can still go to the gym. You can still work out. You know, many of them have racquetball or pickleball courts or, you know, something that you can do indoors to stay active over the winter. Because again, I just think a lot of people, it's very easy to, you know, get down in the dumps and then you just don't feel like doing anything. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely things you can do to overcome the winter blues. Hopefully, I've kicked around some ideas that you can possibly work with here if you're someone that struggles with that. Um, but I thought, you know, it's something we all go through, and I'm feeling it myself right now. So I thought I would make a little video about it. But that's really all I got for this one. Hopefully, it has helped you in some way. That's what I make these videos for, even though a lot of people aren't seeing them yet. But hopefully, someday. So that's all I got for this one. I'm Brad Casper. This is Casper's Corner, and Casper is out.